Hi, everyone. Depending on where you are joining us from across the world today, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to our second webinar session on Developer Circle Skills Connection. We're excited to have Yash join us today, who works on the Spark AR team at Facebook. Hi, Yash.
Hi, Chimdi.
Good to have you join us today.
Yeah, thanks
And
for having me.
you're welcome. And just to set some context here, the audience that we have today are members of the Facebook Developer Circles community. And like we all know, it's a community-led program designed to create physical and online forums led by local amazing developer influencers for them to collaborate and also share knowledge and learn about our Facebook technologies and products. So they are our amazing community members. I'm sure they are looking forward to having you share all the amazing stuff we have in the Spark AR ecosystem and have you answer some of their questions.
Awesome. Let's get started.
Awesome. So before we get started, some logistics. Everyone, you can listen in through your computer audio or select phone call to see the number to call, access code, and also PIN. And if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat session. Once again, my name is Chimdi Aneke, and I support the Developer Circles program at Facebook. And today, like I mentioned earlier on, we'll be chatting to Yash about some of the questions that you have submitted and have him share an overview of what's going on in the Spark AR world. Thanks once again for joining us today, Yash.
Yeah, awesome. It's again so nice to connect with all of you. Even though I can't see some of you, I've met a lot of the developer circle members and leads, and it's so amazing your passion for the community and for exploring all the technologies that Facebook has to offer.
Amazing. So Yash, before we go into your slide, and I'm sure that will happen in the next few minutes, but before we go into that, I'm sure the audience would like to know maybe your responsibilities as Facebook. You want to start with that?
Yeah, I can start with that. At Facebook, I'm an engineering manager in the Spark AR team. Essentially, Facebook is making a lot of investment in the augmented reality space, and our team essentially is a team that uh, sort of builds the set of tools that is required to create AR experiences on our family of apps. And so we deal with everything from the creation experience or the developer experience to the publishing experience and or yeah, publishing of those effects, and then the consumer experience, which is how do people consume AR content right now. And I'll be talking about all of these things, about a bit of the roadmap. I'm sure some of you have already seen these things. You might have seen it at F8. There are some themes that have already been talked about in different talks earlier, but I'll just do a brief capture of that as well as I talk through my slides.
Amazing. And also, this is a popular question that our members always ask us since they are in close connection with us as Facebookers. So I'm sure they'll want to know, like your journey, how did you get your job at Facebook? It's a popular question. I'm sure they are looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think Facebook, like all things, it kind of just happened in a way where it wasn't, for me at least, it wasn't super intentional when it did happen. But I do remember, when I was early in my career, I was very fascinated by the developer culture, and so the engineering culture at Facebook, and sort of the hacker mentality. And I was in India at the time. Uh, I I thought about applying. I used to think it's going to be so hard to get into a company, like that, which is such few people and as some of the best engineers in the world. And I actually never. I don't think I ever got the courage to actually apply early in my career. But what happened is that over a period of time, I've had a lot of startups. In India, in Southeast Asia, in the Bay Area. Some of them successful, some not successful, and as I've built kind of I haven't worked at a big tech company before Facebook, and at some point when in my last startup, which was more than 3 years ago, uh, which didn't work out, which is a sort of a business travel app, I remember wanting to move to London to be close to my wife, and I applied to Facebook, and I found it an amazing opportunity with working with the partner engineering team, and yeah, and then that's how I started my career here. And I think that Facebook really uh, was very surprising for me in the sense that even though it's a huge company, it has and it still does feel like, given our work streams and given what we do, it still feels a lot like a startup in a lot of ways. And so that's kind of been something that's kept me going as well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think what I love about this is that most developers or software engineers think that they can just come in one way, but there are different roles and opportunities within
Yeah,
Facebook. So there, like you
yeah,
just mentioned, partner engineering is a whole different arm, and at the same time, the core software engineering and also like other ways that people work even here at Facebook. So there are different ways to join Facebook. There are different opportunities and roles. So there's no one way. There are different ways. So thanks for actually shedding light on that, Yash. And
definitely.
at this point as well, I'm going to let you dive straight into the presentation that you have before we go into the questions. So you take it from here, Yash.
Awesome. Thanks, Chimdi. Thanks for the questions. I'll get started. I actually thought a lot about what we can talk about today. Given the time, and I mean we can spend all day talking about, or I can spend all day talking about AR. But I thought that today I could just do a brief overview of like uh, why we're investing so much in AR, like what is our vision, where we're trying to go from here, and really sort of jump into the Spark AI platform and what it offers to developers now, and as a window into like what you can see into the future, right? What it might offer you. So uh, yeah, so it's kind of like also embedded in the title of my slides. So let's get started. So at Facebook, we believe that uh, you know uh, augmented reality is fundamentally going to change the way we build our computing platforms. I think that what we've done in the past is that we have like this thing which is like a two-dimensional computing platform, right? So it's a touch screen. We've kind of gotten to a pretty good level there. The next step in that evolution is definitely getting to a point where people are able to interact and have like a computing environment in 3 dimension. And from that perspective, we have both AR, which is augmented reality, which is essentially superimposing on top of your 3 dimensional environment. And then there is virtual reality, which is essentially creating this sort of virtual or a completely immersive environment, right? And for virtual reality, we have Oculus, and for AR, we have Spark AR. And so today I'm going to talk about Spark AR and what we're trying to do here. So why AR? I think Mark made this announcement at F8 a few years ago now, I think 2017, and he talked about, like that. I think that picture in the top kind of explains a lot, right? And it's really like what I was talking about earlier, which is like taking your reality, augmenting it, superimposing this sort of uh, new kinds of like interactions or things that you didn't think was possible before. So you could play chess, but that's not where it stops. We feel that AR is increasingly going to give people the ability to have almost like superpowers, right? So because you now are enhancing your senses or augmenting your senses with the full support of like what's available digitally, right? And as a computing platform. So whether it's audio, whether it's vision, and then there's a lot of AI that is powering all of this, a lot of machine learning, and so we have all of that as part of like the Facebook roadmap where we're trying to push these technologies forward. Uh, so even though that's kind of like the digital chess thing is kind of like the broad vision, we've decided to make the camera the first augmented reality platform, right? So we're not there yet. We're still some ways away from a universally wearable sort of AR device like a glass. So what we've decided is we can start with this. So we can start essentially with your camera, phone camera, right? And so we're making the camera the first augmented reality platform. Billions of people have this in their pocket. The improvements in camera technologies is making it easier for us to integrate our software and our platform into our apps and sort of power AR experiences. Like the kind of uh, like cameras that we see in the future coming out with um, sort of better depth perception is only going to improve all of that, right? And so uh, camera is the important part, but then also platform is another important part. And platform is really what Spark Air is about. We want to build the platform. I think one of the interesting things about Facebook is that we've always, um, we're building things for people all over the world, but we believe that for anything to be successful, like the content has to be created uh, by the same people who are kind of consuming it, right? Like that's where the diversity of the content is. That's where the diversity of of creation is, and so that's been like ingrained in the Facebook way. Like we don't want to create the things that a small set of people creating things that everybody will consume, right? So hence our focus on Spark AR as a platform and as a tool to help developers all over the world and creators all over the world create these sort of experiences. And I'll go a little bit into how we're thinking about it. So again, like I said, I think we're at the very beginning of this journey. I would say the dot is a little bit more towards the right, but it's still kind of in the early stages, right? We know nowhere close to universally available head-worn sort of AR technology at this point, or something that is at least easy for people to walk around with. Um, but we're making our way there, and it's kind of like the zigzaggy road. It's not really a straight line. I know we all try to draw straight lines, but we're kind of on this zigzag path, and it's a very interesting journey for us at Facebook who are developing it, and also for our creators um, and consumers. So yeah, so I'm gonna jump into like what is the process, how are we building the platform? So, and I'll also sort of highlight like which specific team I sort of support here. So we have the building experience. So you have Spark AI Studio, you can build it, you can test it on your mobile phone with Spark AI Player. Once you've created an effect, you can publish it on Hub. AR Hub is the team that I'm currently supporting. And then we can deploy it on our family of apps. And essentially, with Facebook, with Instagram, with Messenger, uh, we also have Portal. We also are going to add more and more surfaces. Some of these are available to publicly to all third-party. Messenger right now is first-party only, but we are looking into how to make this open as well. And essentially, like then taking back all the metrics and then bringing it back to Hub for people to see how their effects are performing, for them to improve the quality of their effects or how they're building these things. So that's really what the platform is about. Like it's essentially building this whole ecosystem uh, of apps, of AR apps in the future. And right now we're starting with these effects and with the camera on your phone. So for now, the platform growth is very impressive. We've seen some very humbling numbers. We A billion is a very big number to comprehend if you were to think about it in a sort of real sense. But we've seen effects which have billions of impressions, which means that because of the reach of our apps, people all over the world are experiencing these things, and things are going viral all the time, and there are like tons of, and I'll talk about sort of some tips and tricks on like how to build for that as well for Instagram. So the way we think about our platform and what we hope to provide is ease of creation. So essentially offering tools that make AI development accessible to all people. We want to move to capabilities, like enhancing the capabilities. We call it capabilities. It's a word that we've like consistently used. Essentially what we mean by that is to empower relevant and context aware experiences for people. And really looking into the tracking aspect of AR, which is more around how your the 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 general understanding of your environment and how we can translate that for your application or your effect to hook into it. And then there is distribution. Again, we want to open up more channels where people can experience these things. Like I mentioned before, Portal for now has it's powered by this for story time. We have this on Messenger. We have this on Facebook and Instagram. So people are using this in video calls. People are using this everywhere, including for games and for just face masks. So talking about ease of creation, I'm just going to talk about a quick high level couple of things. The way I see our platform, or at least our tooling platform, Spark Studio, is that it's like layered complexity, right? So there is there's a way to like build a tool which works for both early users or people who are new to a platform or don't have that much experience, and also works for people who are more advanced users, right? So in a way, what we're doing is we're taking the complexity and we're layering it, and we're saying that you can start with at a first level, you can start with a scene tree and an inspector, and you can drop in an object or a tracker. It could be face tracker, it could be hand tracker. So essentially, the capability part, right? Like taking that and then adding it to your thing. It takes just a couple of minutes. Second layer is patch editor. So patch editor is essentially like our node-based graph where you can create like sort of visual programming sequences. And as again, this is like kind of driven to the point where we want to not everybody is a developer, right? Not everybody knows scripting, and so for people who are less familiar with that, they can use this to get started. And we've seen people create some really complicated like sort of sequence of patches for animation, for visual shading, for all sorts of things, and it's really nice to see that being the case. And I'll talk about sort of how you can abstract these things out further through patch graph and through blocks. And then we have scripting, which is like more for advanced users. So essentially, we have JavaScript for people who are familiar with that. They can add additional layers of complexity. They can build a library. They can have sort of, if you wanted to build a game, you could do that with scripting. So those are the three layers of complexity. Like I mentioned before, patch editor. We have a new UI for it with a host of new features. I highly recommend using it. Connecting the nodes is really easy. It's like dragging and dropping the pointer. Blocks essentially is something that we're also really excited about. The way we see blocks playing out is essentially, as people create more long form of AR content, like bigger like bigger AR applications, bigger AR effects, um, it becomes incredibly complicated to manage every portion of the effect, right? Just like you build a software and then you try to modularize your software, right? So what we've done here is that we've created blocks, which is essentially sort of a small kind of effect in its own way, and you can include it, and it's parameterizable in your effect, and you can share it, and it improves collaboration and reusability of your components, right? So that's how we've thought about it. I just have a quick video to show you what it is. So here you will see like there is a game block. If you see on the top right hand side, game.block. And essentially what we've done is somebody created this block. Let's say they shared it with me, or I don't know, amongst friends or something. And then essentially I've just like added, like there are two parameterizable things here. One is the character sprite and one is the building sprite, right? And I just replaced one with the cat and one with the building, um, and it's done, right? Like, so essentially all of the complexity is abstracted away from you. Um, Whoever built the block in the first place is the one building it, and we do see that turning into an entire ecosystem, right, in itself, right, where people are building blocks and sharing them, or or figuring out how to monetize it. um, and then there is like, you can see the patch editor thing. So through patch editor I'm able to connect two different blocks. So there's the game and then there's the score, and essentially score itself is uh, you know again parameterizable. So uh, that's just a high level overview of like how we're looking at ease of creation. For capabilities, again, we're looking at empowering relevant context aware experiences. So we think about it in two ways. We think about it from an easy way to do this is like front facing, which is my current camera with you guys. And then there is augmenting your world, which is your sort of rear facing camera, and where we see like glasses turning as well, right? Like, because everything will be, uh, it'll be your perspective or your point of view. So from those perspectives, we figured out these are some of the early tracking technologies we have available for our developers: face tracking, hand tracking, body tracking, background segmentation, and then there's target recognition, semantic scene understanding, location AR, 3D pose in camera. Um, and essentially face tracking is like enables more precision accuracy around the eyes and the mouth. You have really good tracking speed because we also have a high fidelity face mesh. Essentially we track a lot of points on the face, and makes it easier for you to attach things in different places. um, and hand tracking, hand detection, and sort of bounding box tracking. You can see an effect of the Avengers. This is right now available on Facebook, but it's not available on Instagram. Um, and Yeah, so like supports single hand pose. There's background segmentation. I'm sure this is a very popular use case these days with video calling. Like everybody wants to be at the beach when they're on a video call. I'm not, but I could be. And so essentially, you're transporting people to new destinations, and then uh, the Instagram also has this in their focus mode. So that's how we use it. In fact, if you've ever used like a blur effect on a video call, that's also using background segmentation. We have target recognition and tracking. This is from a launch we did at Tate Modern, and Tate Britain actually, sorry, and this is like finding a known 2D two-dimensional target and essentially using that to activate an AR experience, right? So you can see the tracking is really good. Like you can move your camera around, and it keeps it in the context of your AR experience. So posters are a great example of that. You can show AR at specific locations. We're working on this sort of location AR, making it location relevant. Um, Again, not all of these things are available because like we're trying to make them available for public use. Distribution. So for distribution, we have Facebook and Instagram right now, but we're trying to open up more channels. I'm gonna skip through. I skipped through a bunch of things here. I just wanted to jump straight into Instagram, and specifically sort of talk to you guys about how what is the best way to think about creating AR experiences for Instagram. And we know that Instagram for us even right now, and for most people, it has that special connection with like a lot of young people, and so it has like a sort of really interesting sort of sorry, my battery is low. I think I should have plugged in the charger. But yeah, the Instagram platform is one of our most popular ones, and so I thought that would be interesting to you. Uh, so yeah, so we've done some research on this and we've boiled it down to these things, right? So really what we're looking at is like when you're thinking about creating an effect, think about, is it serving a real need? Our mission is to bring people closer together, um, and understanding the need or the cultural context, or some of these things, right? It's really important. So express my aesthetic, like these ones have been really popular. Uh, Capture what I'm feeling, thinking, or doing, right? Um, Getting inspired and having fun. This could also be like games. Actually, you could also build games, and then make my friends laugh, right, which is like more like funny stuff. We could all use some humor at a time like this, right? And then be part of something bigger than myself, which I find really important for as a theme for like when you're thinking about building something that is relevant, a cultural moment, like the Dia de los Muertos, or this the Valentine one, is like really special, right? Because that allows us to celebrate like those kind of moments with our friends and family. The other thing is getting out of the way, right? I think a good air experience on Instagram specifically is something where it should be kind of like subtle. Uh, I'm reminded of this poem, which I don't remember the author, but he talked about how a poem should be palpable but mute, right? I feel the same way about Instagram experiences, which are very popular, right? You want it to be something which is palpable, like something which people can experience, but it's not too heavy or too overt, right? Because then the people are not, then it occupies the whole space, right? You want people to be able to express themselves and get more out of like themselves into the experience. So that's one. Uh, Gifts, not ads. I think this one is mostly like I know some of you might at some point, if you're building these skills, you'll think about monetizing them or working with businesses or creating stuff for other partners. And these are really good examples. So the first two are like examples of really good experiences which are very subtle, and it's also like kind of your guidance when you're working with the business partner on that effect, right? So the Game of Thrones one and the Coachella one are not overtly branded, but they kind of get the message across. And the best thing about them is that people will share these, um, and it will like be it has the potential to go down further in the network, right? Amongst friends and families and their friends and families. But the one on the right, on the rightmost, is like a very, it's I think it's a poor example of that, right? Which is like it's overt, it's like has this sort of like you know uh, Craigslist kind of feel to it. Has like this call this number, or here is the brand. And I feel that that's fine, but like then people don't end up sharing those. So it's informative, but you don't really leverage the power of the community of consumers. Uh, Make it easy and fun. Again, just the how for people to use the effect. For Instagram specifically, think about, and this is a general guidance for any kind of user experience for building any app, right? Like you want it to be fewer steps, you want it to be simple, you want it to be easy for people to start using it, right? It shouldn't have 15 steps. And then lastly, like I would say, just like think outside the box, right? So like think of other things. We've seen like tons of effects which have none of the things that we previously talked about, but like are extremely popular, like the ones you can see, and just because they're just you know really out of the box. Uh, so yeah, so I'm gonna end this now. I'm just gonna say that an augmented world would not be possible with all the with the support of all the developers in the community. And there's something in it for all of us, and also the people who are going to experience these things. Um, and yeah, thank you for taking the time to go through this presentation, and for allowing me to talk to you guys about Spark AI platform. If you'd like to know more, we have you can find us on Spark AI community. We have the website, which is sparkar.com. We have newsletters, we have local events, which I'm guessing we don't have for now. We don't have as many, and but we do have some through the DevC community, right? And then on fb.me/sparkare community, you can find the community group. So I'm just going to leave there for a second, and that's it. Over to you, Chimdi.
Wow. Thanks so much, Yash, for this overview. A few weeks ago, someone ran like an internal masterclass on Spark AR, like just for like a 101, and I participated. So I tried my first, I created my first effect, and it was using the glass filter, and then try
Yeah.
adding like my country flag when I look up and when I look down. So it was really good just trying that out, and I got lots of inspiration of what I can do with it. So I'm just wondering, those are already like interested enthusiasts, already like doing stuff even at the beginner or intermediate level. So massive opportunity to do great things. So this is really exciting. Thank you for sharing this overview.
Definitely. I mean, the reach is there, the platform is there, the ecosystem is there. There's a, in terms of support, even, there's a whole community of creators who are so nice, and are happy to help you out. And I've seen so many connections being made across the world. Somebody in London working with somebody in Singapore, or somebody in Nigeria working with somebody in the US. Like, all of those things have happened on the SparkCare platform, and I think that this is the best time to do it.
Yeah, yeah, great. I think we can jump to the questions. So before now, they submitted a couple of questions, and I'm sure you would like to answer a few of them. Maybe not all, but like a few of them. So the first
Sure.
one: how long have you been working on Spark AR, and what is its importance to the tech industry?
So I've been at Facebook for 3 years. I joined in the uh, partner engineering team, supporting that team, but I've basically been working with Spark AR since the beginning. So it's been almost 3 years working with this team now. It is relatively new team in that sense. So when I started working with them, the platform was not public. That year we had announced, market announced it at F8, and we still had Facebook was in a closed beta sort of mode, where we were trying to test it out with a lot of partners, and try to get the kinks out of the platform. And we launched AR Studio. Back then, it wasn't called Spark AR; it was called AR Studio. And we released it. So I've been working with them since the beginning. Now I'm obviously I've switched roles inside Facebook, and I've been since this year I've been focused primarily on Spark AR, like full time, from a software engineering perspective, and helping the team grow and support them for publishing and for insights. So for Spark AR Hub. I haven't answered the second part. So what is its importance to the technology industry? I think
Yes.
I kind of answered that in the beginning, but I'll just repeat that. I think that we've kind of mastered a two-dimensional computing platform. I keep pointing to my phone just for reference, but it is the best thing that we have available right now, right? And moving from there, I think the industry is definitely moving to a three-dimensional computing platform. Um, Everybody's in the same game right now, and I think that that definitely is going to define the future of like how we build things, how we experience things. Yeah.
Awesome. Next question. So next question says, what are the benefits of Spark AR over other AR building engines? I know you already mentioned like a couple of them in your slide. So I don't know if you want to add anything else here.
Right. So I think other AR building engines are like, there's tons of different platforms out there. I have to say without a doubt that from what I know about our platform, it's definitely it's very interesting. So it's definitely one of the easiest platforms that we know out there that exists for people to get started building things and testing things out. But it has like it can go up in complexity of things that you want to build. So you can ramp up really quickly, and like you said, you can create classes and you can put a flag and you can create all these experiences in a couple of minutes. But then you can also end up spending hours and building like really complex kind of AR games and AR experiences. So I feel that the benefit really is I would say two things. One is the reach of our apps, which is the surface where people are consuming these things, and the other thing is the ease of creation that really sets us apart.
Awesome. Next question says, where is the best place to get royalty-free assets? This is a huge
Yeah,
one.
it's a huge one. Yeah, I think that that's a we get that question all the time. So actually, in Air Studio, we have integration with Sketchfab right now. Sketchfab, if you go to Sketchfab separately, like online, they provide royalty-free assets. You can download 3D assets. There. I think this is like there's so many, but that's not the only one. There's so many different providers out there. Like if you just Google, you can get 3D assets, you can get audio files, you can get images, textures. Um, I think that I just want to put a little caveat here is that the true sort of building or the true like innovation here really comes from building the assets yourself if you can manage that, right? And I think that's also another skill set that is really good for developers or creators to have. But if they can't manage, they always have the library of royalty-free assets, right? So, but if they want to learn something new, then you have all these Cinema 4D, Maya, all these like softwares for sculpting and for creating 3D assets, and it's really really fun and it's really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's also a good opportunity for developers to also like work with creators or designers. I know there is this designers versus developers, so it's an opportunity for them to now collaborate even more. So instead of a developer trying to like learn everything, why can't they collaborate with designers or creators that are focused on this? Like, so I see that ecosystem like merging and together more and more. This with Spark.
Definitely, yeah.
Cool. Next question says, when will it be possible to add one's own patch assets to the Spark AR library?
Yeah, we're working on that one. We don't have an exact timeline on that yet. So we do have the ability to sort of download patch assets that are available in library, right? But I think the question is more around when will it be open to third party, and for that we have it's on the roadmap, so we're working on it. So one of the other things that we're also trying to do is like as part of that make it easier for people to add other kinds of assets to the AI library, including blocks and audio and other things, textures, 3D models.
Awesome. Next question says, what about playing audio during video recording without disabling the mic?
Yeah, so it's if you wanted to do this, this has been a very popular request. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I think that I've seen this from a number of different people. There's a number of different experiences be that would be possible if this were possible. However, it's on the roadmap. It's not out yet. I do expect for us to make some progress on this later this year or early next year, but probably earlier than that. And it's a two-part problem. So we have two issues here. One is like having audio through your headphones, because then the sort of speaker or audio in your head, like the audio output doesn't interfere with the audio input. But then there's a more challenging issue around sort of just having it available without any headset. So again, it's an interesting challenge for the team. I know that they're looking into this. but I don't have any like clear timeline on it.
Sure.
But it's not we know about this one. So thanks for that. And I think like questions like this really help us because a lot of our feedback comes from the community because they're really the ones who are challenging us to like build these things.
Cool. Next one, when should we expect a hand and finger tracking?
So we have hand tracking, and like I mentioned, it's a bounding box, so it's not a number of different points on your hand. It's available for Facebook. You can again try it out on your Spark Air player and build it on your computer. Finger tracking is not out yet. Again, these have been popular requests, um, but I don't have a clear timeline that I can provide for. And it's also dependent on which app it comes out on. So typically we release these kind of features app by app. Um, so yeah, so I think hand is there, but finger can't answer.
No,
But
nice.
not anytime soon. Not anytime soon is what I would say. Not I don't think it's going to come out this year.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that people are asking lots of when kind of questions. Is there like a public tracker, feature tracker, where people can see like the roadmap or what's coming?
Yes. So if you're on the Spark Creator Community Group or if you're on Hub, we have Hub announcements now. So every time something new comes out, we make an announcement there. And if you subscribe to it, then you might even get an email. But again, it doesn't. We at Facebook we generally don't talk about things that are going to come out because it's hard to say like when exactly it's going to come out. So um, we do make announcements for things that are already out or are just
Nice.
released. So that way
I,
people can keep up to date with like, the latest stuff.
that's nice. I also like from the live chat, I also see someone asking about the recent um, shops, Facebook shops that was launched. So someone was
Yeah.
asking around when can they see AR shopping experiences? I'm sure this might be in future, but it's interesting that people are asking that question.
Yes. That is super interesting. Actually, that's part of our sort of air commerce pillar. It's something that is not right now currently available to third party, but we are actively developing and testing it out with a lot of partners globally, and we have some like really good traction on that side. But it's not available in all countries yet, and it's not available to third-party developers. But we are working on making it available. So that is definitely something that we're looking into because I think this is a very interesting space, especially because uh, sort of AR commerce makes it possible for you to buy things online, and especially under these circumstances, right, where people are not able to go to like the shops and stuff if they're in lockdown. And I feel that you're able to do that without um, you're able to try things before you buy them, which would be more of a retail kind of a store experience, right? Not necessarily an
Yeah.
online experience, but that's why I think it's relevant.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. When will you add WhatsApp to Spark AR? Can we have platform-specific exports?
Uh, there's no plans for WhatsApp in Spark AR yet, so nothing for. I haven't seen anything for this year. And WhatsApp, is also it's a very efficient app. It's one of the fastest apps out there, and so we have to. It's a more constrained environment for us to build on. Um, and yeah, so it's not there yet, but again, we have this feedback. We know that this is something we have to get out at some point. Um, and in terms of platform specific exports, there are currently no plans for this because one of the issues is, we're building our platform is tied to the distribution platform, right? So platform for development and submitting and publishing and then distribution is all tied together. So I'm guessing somebody's saying like, how can we build things for like web AR or something like that? That requires, we still don't have a standard in the industry for like how to run an AR experience. So for that reason, it's not currently possible.
Mm, cool. Can we use background image like 360 video?
Yeah, so we have recently launched this feature.
Oh, nice.
It's very new, but it's not giving you the ability to add your own background image like a 360 video. It's actually called a gallery picker. So essentially what you can do is you can add it to your effect, and it gives the ability to the person who's using the effect to add something. So you can essentially change a texture to a gallery texture. And then what that does is that so you can say gallery texture for background, let's say a background segmentation thing, right? And then person who's using the experience can just swap out the the texture, the thing for a video. So, but for a developer to do it, we haven't made that available yet for video
Mm,
specifically. Yeah.
cool.
Background image is possible, but not like a video in that sense. So it's a happy and a sad answer, I guess.
Nice. So guys, check out the gallery picker. At least that's a good step forward.
Cool.
Next question.
Uh, cool. So yeah, next question.
Yeah, is there a quicker way to add native UI controls? Right now it's only through coding.
Uh, yes. So we are planning on releasing this soon. We are working on it, on adding this to patch editors. But right now it's only through coding. But we have had this feedback for a while, and you should see something soon, very very soon, as part of the patch editor thing. But for now, you can do it through JavaScript, which is what the question says. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, picking one again from the live chat. So someone asks,
Sure.
does LIDAR cameras? I know you might know what that terminology means. Does LIDAR camera and other
Sorry, your voice
cameras
is your voice is breaking
affect the
up.
development process?
Your voice is breaking up. Chimdi?
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better. Sorry, I lost you there for a second. What are you saying?
Yeah, so I said another question from the live chat. So
Yeah.
someone asks, does LIDAR camera, leader
Mm-hmm,
camera, and
mm-hmm,
other coming camera technologies affect the
mm-hmm.
development process?
Have LiDAR cameras and other kind of depth sensing cameras. I imagine the
Yeah,
question is around depth sensing cameras. And what was the thing? What
yeah.
was the
If
question?
they will affect someone's development process. If one is building on Spark, would that affect the development process in any way, or
Okay,
affect it?
so yeah, so the thing is, because that's a really good question. So, uh, uh, like, it really depends on the uh, on the hardware that is attached to, like, it has to be on Facebook or Instagram or Spark AirPlay app. So it has to be on one of these apps, right? So
Mm,
if they have this sort of camera, uh, I don't see why not, like why it wouldn't work. But I also don't know of any um, current mobile phone cameras which have really high-end depth sensing cameras. But definitely it's going to improve the performance of the experience.
oh, nice. Um, Next question. I know we
But
are
I think
almost.
these things will come out soon, like that is really like the cutting edge of like how people are building air experiences.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question. I know we're almost getting to the hour mark, but so the next question. Let's see. Okay. If even why yeah, even while we wait for the yeah, even while we wait for or ask the next question, do you want to also maybe share any insights for any designer or creator if they want to ace their learning process, or if they want to grow in how to maybe learn how to create new assets? Is there any link or resource beyond the Spark AR community that they can maybe go to just to learn how to build assets as a designer or to ace their accelerate their growth?
Yeah, so I think there is a bunch of tutorials on YouTube. And if they go to sparkare.com, they'll find a lot of educational content and also on the community. Um, but the best thing to do right now is like the way I would put it is like there's two parts to this, right? One is like creating the assets, like you mentioned, so all the 3D assets and whatever goes into your thing. Um, Second part I think is like composition, which is really like you're like a project manager, like you or like a product manager. You're thinking about like what does your end experience look like, right? And then is execution and development and sort of compiling it in AR Studio. Uh, I think that for people, there are things that you can also build inside of the AR Studio with visual shaders and a lot of other tools that we have. So mastering them will help you sort of speed up the process with which you create these building blocks of your experience. And I would say that all of those combined, like skill sets of like varying levels of like expertise, will definitely help you become really good at this and like become really skilled at this. But in the end, like it's a combination of all of these really. So in terms of where they can find the stuff, yeah, those are the places that I mentioned. The community online and on YouTube. And for software, they can look at a ton of different software for 3D modeling if they just search for it. Um, there's Maya, there's Cinema 4D, there's a bunch of different softwares out there.
Oh, great. I know we're almost out of time here, Yash. So I will just skip through to the last few questions that we have for you.
Sure.
So the first one is, what interesting trends have you observed within the Spark AR ecosystem? I'm sure people will want to look up to those trends and see even what's possible, help them imagine the bigger things that they can create. What trends do you see?
Right. So I think that that's a great question. I think I might have partly answered that in my slides, but I just refer to it quickly. I think the ones that are very interesting are the ones which are built around cultural moments. So essentially, if you have like a famous holiday or there's a special kind of thing that's going on that's relevant to everyone, then or popular cultural moment, then that really resonates really well. Again, it doesn't have to be that. It can always be like a fun, quick game. It can be like an interesting sort of out of the box thinking kind of experience. Um, for looking at trends, I would look at the community thread, and I would look at some of the popular creators and what they're building, and you'll definitely see like the kind of stuff that they're building to which will inspire you. And there are all kinds of people out there. I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of creators. So yeah.
Awesome. So, in terms of next steps, what we recommend for these our amazing participants? They have been here for almost an hour, so I'm sure they'll want to hear from you. What we recommend as a next step for them, having had all this, having answered their questions, what else should they be doing or should they try?
Well, if you've survived the last hour, then I must congratulate you. And if they have done so, then I'd say that truly like the best thing to do would be you can always I'm guessing this video will be available. They can rewatch it.
Yes.
They should definitely go through. I mentioned a couple of things in my slides around like resources. I think. The best way to learn is to build, right? And that's kind of like the way for. And I know I'm talking to a lot of developers right now, so uh, at least for me in my development career or my engineering career, I've always found it best to start getting my hands dirty with the tools, and then referring back to sort of tutorials, maybe going really deep into the education side, then coming back out and then building again, right? But it's always good to keep up that that momentum of prototyping, of building things, to sort of motivate you, right? So that would be my advice, is that if you want to keep up the momentum, motivation, or I don't know what your style is, but like my style is that, so that's what I would recommend.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Yash. If you can move to the last slide, where we have the hackathon, that would be great. Awesome. So, DevC's, we actually have the second hackathon, online hackathon, up. So it's running at the moment, and we encourage you to apply for that. We have three amazing areas or categories that you can apply to. There is the AR category, which you have had from Yash, all that is possible within the Spark AR world. There is messaging, and there is also AI. So we encourage you to actually participate. Try to hack out things, try to like test what you've learned today, and see if you can win. And just to give you some context, the first online hackathon that we had, two DevCs came out on top. So they won and they got great prizes and recognition. So we encourage you as well to participate. Go to devpost.com/Facebook and you'll find more details about the hackathon. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your commitment to this session and just being here with us for an hour. So thank you so much. We appreciate. And Yash also like mentioned a couple of websites, the Spark AR community, the website where you can learn more about Spark AR. And we can't wait to see all you build. We know it's COVID season, but at the same time, we know you are also like encouraged like to keep building, keep creating, keep innovating. And I'm sure you might be the one that will create the next big thing. Yes, thank you once again, Yash, for joining us. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Chimdi, and thanks to everyone for dialing in, and for all the people who are watching this and building with us. Thank you.
Amazing. And lastly, as we close, we want your feedback. Please take a minute to complete the survey that will be shown at you right at the end of this webinar or via email. Stay safe and see you next time on Developer Circle Skills Connection. Do have an amazing day. Bye.
Bye.